Hello, everyone. Look at your shoes right now. What do you see? Do you see a simple curved line that looks like a check mark? That is the swoosh, one of the most famous logos in the entire world. It belongs to Nike. Today, Nike is a giant company. Every famous athlete wears Nike. But did you know that Nike started in the back of a green station wagon? It started with a young man who had a crazy idea and a passion for running. He didn't have much money, and he didn't have a factory. All he had was a dream and the courage to just do it. This is the story of Phil Knight and the birth of Nike. It's a story about speed, risk, and never giving up on your race. Our story begins in Portland, Oregon in the late 1950s. Phil Knight was a young man who loved to run. He was a middle-distance runner at the University of Oregon. He wasn't the fastest runner in the world, but he had a very important teacher. His coach was a man named Bill Bowerman. Coach Bowerman was obsessed with making his runners faster. He believed that if you could make a shoe lighter, a runner could run more easily. He often took apart shoes and tried to rebuild them to be better. Phil watched his coach and learned that a shoe is not just leather and rubber. A shoe is a tool for victory. After university, Phil went to business school at Stanford. For one of his classes, he had to write a paper about a business idea. Phil thought about his passion running shoes. At that time, German companies like Adidas and Puma ruled the market. But Phil had a question. What if high-quality running shoes were made in Japan, where labor was cheaper? Could they compete with the German shoes? Phil's classmates laughed at his idea. They thought it was crazy, but Phil couldn't stop thinking about it. He called it his crazy idea. In 1962, Phil decided to follow his dream. He traveled all the way to Japan. He visited a company called Onitsuka, which made tiger shoes. Phil walked into the meeting and pretended he was the head of a big American company. He called his imaginary company Blue Ribbon Sports. The Japanese executives liked Phil and agreed to let him sell their shoes in the United States. Phil was so excited. When he got back to Oregon, he showed the shoes to his old coach, Bill Bowerman. Bowerman loved them so much that he became Phil's partner. They each put in $500 to start Blue Ribbon Sports. At first, they didn't have a store. Phil loaded the Japanese shoes into the trunk of his green Plymouth Valiant. He drove to track meets all over the Northwest. He stood on the dirt tracks and talked to runners and coaches. He understood them because he was a runner, too. He wasn't just selling shoes, he was sharing a passion. His business grew slowly but surely. People liked the high-quality shoes and the personal touch Phil provided. But then, a problem arose. The relationship with the Japanese company became difficult. Onitsuka wanted to find a different partner in America. Phil realized he could no longer rely on someone else. He needed to create his own brand. He needed his own shoes. In 1971, Phil and his small team sat together to choose a new name. Some people wanted Dimension 6. Phil didn't like it. He thought it was boring. Then, one of his first employees, Jeff Johnson, had a dream. In his dream, he saw the name of the Greek goddess of victory. Her name was Nike. Phil wasn't sure at first, but they were running out of time. He said, "I guess we'll go with Nike. I hope it grows on us." Now they needed a logo. Phil went to a local university and found a graphic design student named Carolyn Davidson. He asked her to create a logo that suggested movement and speed. Carolyn drew many designs, but Phil wasn't satisfied. Finally, she drew a simple curved line. Phil looked at it and said, "I don't love it, but I think it will grow on me." He paid Carolyn only $35 for that design. That simple line became the swoosh. Later, when Nike became successful, Phil gave Carolyn a gold swoosh ring and many shares of the company to thank her. The first Nike shoes had a special secret. Coach Bill Bowerman was still trying to make a better sole for shoes. One morning, he was looking at his wife's waffle iron during breakfast. He looked at the square patterns on the waffle iron. He thought, what if the bottom of a shoe looked like this? It would have a great grip on the track. He actually took his wife's waffle iron and poured liquid rubber into it. He ruined the waffle iron, but he created the waffle sole. The Nike waffle trainer became a huge success. It was light, it was comfortable, and it looked different from any other shoe. In the 1980s, Nike faced a new challenge. Reebok was becoming very popular with aerobic shoes. Nike needed something big to stay on top. In 1984, they signed a young basketball player from the University of North Carolina. His name was Michael Jordan. Nike created a special shoe for him called the Air Jordan. The NBA actually banned the shoes because they were too colorful. But Phil Knight saw this as a great marketing opportunity. He paid the fines for Jordan to wear the shoes every game. Everyone wanted to be like Mike, and everyone wanted Air Jordans. Nike became a global cultural icon. Then, in 1988, Nike created their famous slogan. They wanted something that would inspire everyone, not just professional athletes. An advertising executive thought of the last words of a famous person, but he changed them slightly. He came up with 3 simple words, just do it. These words were perfect. They told people to stop making excuses and start moving. Whether you are running a marathon or just walking around the block, just do it. Phil Knight led Nike for many decades. He turned his crazy idea into a company worth billions of dollars. But he always remained a runner at heart. He showed us that victory is not just about being the fastest. It is about having the courage to start the race when everyone else is standing still. It is about finding partners who believe in your dream. And it is about trusting your passion even when things get difficult. Phil Knight retired as chairman in 2016. He wrote a famous book about his journey called Shoe Dog. He wants young people to know that the path to success is never a straight line. It is full of bumps, turns, and moments of doubt. But if you keep running, if you keep following your heart, you can achieve greatness. So next time you see the swoosh, think of Phil Knight. Think of the young man with the green station wagon and a trunk full of shoes. Think of the coach who ruined a waffle iron for a better grip. And remember their message to the world. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't listen to the people who say it's impossible. Just do it. Thank you for listening to this fast-paced and inspiring story. We hope you feel ready to start your own race. Keep running, keep dreaming, and just do it. See you in the next episode.